Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Jewell and I'm going to be your Physics 211 lab instructor this semester. I know this is kind of strange to meet by video first before we meet in person, but it's been kind of a little bit of a weird semester and we're just going to have to kind of roll with it together. So I'm just going to real briefly introduce myself in the class and kind of talk you through a few things you need to do to get going these first couple weeks here in 211. So first, just real quickly about myself. I've been teaching here at EW Eau Claire for 10 years now. I've taught Physics 211 a bunch of times. This semester I'm just teaching the lab, so I'm not a lecture instructor for you. But I've done the lab plenty of times too, so I'll be happy to help you through it. As you well know, we have kind of a hybrid approach to the lab this year, and we're going to have some of the labs in person and then some online. And since the first two are going to be online, I just wanted to make this introductory video so that you can kind of see my face and put the face with the name. And then also I'll kind of talk about a few things that we should think about as we get going in the semester together. Okay, so with that, I'm going to switch screens here, and we'll talk about the plans for the semester. Okay, so let me start with just a few kind of real introductory things that I would normally talk about just on the first day of lab. This lab syllabus you see on the screen, you'll have electronically available also in Canvas. For the weeks when we are in person, the basic expectation is that you work through the lab and then you're going to fill out a lab report, which is due at the end of the lab period. Okay, so weeks that we're in class, you'll hopefully be able to get all your work done in class, turn the lab report, and you're done. Weeks that we're online, like these first 2 weeks, we have everything due on Friday at 5 o'clock in Canvas. All right, and I'll show you that for the first 2 weeks here in a second, but just kind of note that. It's a little bit different way that we operate. And especially in case for you guys, we have this 8 a.m. Monday assignment, lucky us. And that means that when we're in person, you'll be working kind of right with me in the lab first thing Monday morning. And then on the weeks that we're online, it'll be a little bit later date. Okay, for these first 2 weeks for the online lab, I just want to highlight that because we're not together, I'm happy to answer questions by email if that works for you. But I'm also going to try to sort of hop online for 1 hour every week. Originally, I was thinking to do that during the class time, but I kind of thought 8 a.m. Monday, probably not very many of you would be using that time block to be working on the online labs. So I just picked a time that doesn't conflict with any of the 211 lectures. So Thursdays at 2:30. I'm going to get on to Collaborate Ultra, and I'll show you how to do that in Canvas here in a minute. And I'll get on for an hour, so if you want to get on and ask me a question face-to-face, kind of in real time about the lab you're working through, we can do that. Also, I'll show you this in Canvas in a second. There will be a pre-lab to work on every week, both for the online labs and the in-person labs. So I'll show you that, but please note that. When we're in person, you do need to get those pre-labs done before lab time, before Monday morning, 8 a.m. And for the online weeks, you can just turn it in at 5 o'clock Friday with the lab overall. All right, I'll talk about some more of these in-person things when we actually show up for the first in-lab week. I'll talk about grading here for a second. So the lab reports that you submit, either in the lab or online, that's 80% of your grade for the lab. And then those pre-lab quizzes you're going to do are 20%. So I sort of take the points from those two things, average them together, and then, as I think most of you know, this class doesn't carry a letter grade of its own. I mean, the lab is just one portion of Physics 211 overall. So then all I do is I calculate your lab score, I send it off to your lecture instructor, and then they incorporate it into their overall grading scheme, and we go ahead from there. All right, in terms of kind of technology you're going to need to use, this semester, we will be using Microsoft Excel quite a bit to graph various things that were various data sets that we're finding in the lab. So you need to be able to produce a basic graph, add a trend line, those sort of things. So make sure you have access to Excel. And if you have never used it or you're kind of uncomfortable, there's a pretty reasonable tutorial introduction at the beginning of your lab manual that will talk you through how to do some of the basic functions that we're going to need. So I'd really encourage you this first week to make sure you do that. And I can help you, of course, if you've got questions. The other thing you're going to need to be able to do, just because we're online for some of the labs, is for some of those online labs, you're going to be filling out the report sheets in your hard copy lab manual, and then you're going to make a PDF of them, take a picture with your cell phone or scan them in or however you want to, and make a PDF. So there's some resources on Canvas to help you do that, but that's something else you'll need to know how to do this semester. Okay, I'm not going to say a great deal about attendance right now. The labs are required for 211. If we have folks that get quarantined for COVID, we'll of course try to find a makeup opportunity for you. The main thing I want to say here is if you need to be absent for any reason from 211 lab, whether you're just sick with a cold or the flu or whether you're quarantined for COVID, you need to let me know in advance. So it's not okay to come back to me 2 weeks after the fact and say, hey, yeah, I missed these weeks because I was in quarantine. Treat COVID just like you treat any other illness. Let me know right away before the lab time, and then we'll work to find a makeup assignment for you. All right, and I'll talk about other in-class things when we're there. All right, so then let's look at the schedule a little bit together. So as I said, we're a mix of online and in-person labs. These first 2 weeks, we're going to start with 2 online labs that are kind of introductory. They just kind of get you used to the lab environment and some of the ideas that are important to us there. This first week, it's a short week, right? Classes start on Wednesday and the week's over on Friday. So labs are due, I said Friday at 5 p.m. But basically what I'm going to do is bump the lab 1 due date back to the end of lab 2 if that week, if that makes sense. So basically lab 1 and what we call lab 3. Don't ask me why we don't do these labs in order. I have no idea how these labs get numbered. But lab 1 and lab 3, the first 2 weeks, both of those labs are going to be due on Friday, September 11th at 5 o'clock p.m. All right, now don't save those both till Friday afternoon. You're not going to be able to get through them both. So space them out, use your time wisely, but you won't have a lab due this very first week. All right, so plan to have both those done by the 11th. And then what you'll see is that starting the week of September 14th, then we'll start in-person labs, but you'll see that what I'm doing is splitting the class into 2 groups. So in order to keep social distancing in the classroom, half of you come in the week of the 14th, I'm calling that group A. Half of you come in the week of the 21st, that's group B. I think probably you're getting assigned into these different groups in a lot of your classes. I have not sent you that information yet, I feel like probably you got a little bit of information overload this first week, so I'll wait and probably next week I'll assign those groups and send them out so you need to know, so that you know what you need to do. If you're in group A, you do not need to show up to lab or do anything for lab that week of the 21st. All right, it's just an off week for you. If you're in group B, you don't need to show up for lab or do anything for lab that week of the 14th. Then we'll have 1 more week of an online lab. This is just a lab that kind of fits nicely in the online scheme. And then we'll have kind of our main set of in-person labs running up till almost Thanksgiving. And then, just because we're not quite sure what the end of the semester will bring, we've also built some online labs towards the end. All right, so that's the process. You'll have in the end 7 online labs and 4 in-person labs, so 11 labs total. A normal semester we might do 12 or 13, so it's a little bit reduced from some other semesters, but I think it'll be overall hopefully a good experience. All right, let's talk briefly about what all this looks like in Canvas. So if you go into my Canvas page for this course, Phys 211-315, that's your section number. That's going to be a separate Canvas course from your lecture. This is just for the lab. I've posted a few things here like how to make PDFs. I have not yet posted the syllabus, it looks like, so I should do that too in the schedule, so you'll have those things right up front here. Then for the online labs, I'll have a section here where I continuously add the labs as they come. So right now I've posted the first 2 experiments, experiment 1, experiment 3. So you can click into one of those, and I'll show you that in a second, and then just basically walk through the steps, and that's what you do for the online lab. Then down here at the bottom, these are the pre-lab quizzes. So you notice I've already got these set up with deadlines and everything. So this week what you would do is first do the experiment 1 pre-lab, then go up here, do the experiment 1 lab itself, upload the things you need to for that, and you're all set. So let me know if any of that's unclear, but I think it's fairly step by step. When you go into that experiment 1, what you're going to see once it actually loads here is a couple introductory videos that kind of talk you through what we're doing. Also very important to read the introductory paragraph here. It says, before attempting this lab, read the introduction section to your lab manual and the first 4 pages of experiment 1. All right, so this first week in particular, there's a kind of lengthy introduction to the lab manual that talks you through how to use Excel, how we think about this idea of something called uncertainty, and a few other things in kind of physics and physics labs. And then the lab itself, lab 1, it has several pages of introduction, and those are very important pages. Those introduction pages, they contain a lot of information that's going to be really important to you to help you understand and get through the lab well. So take your time, read those pages, mark them up if you need to, refer back to them as you're doing the lab. They're going to be helpful to you. All right, so read those things. Then you take the pre-lab quiz after you've read the introductory material. Then you come back here and watch the video, and look at this. I got an issue here with one of my videos already, so I'm glad I'm checking this out, and I'll make sure to get that fixed before we start class this week. So you'll go through, watch the videos, and then here at the bottom, just basically 2 things. You'll go through the report sheets, and then I have a little additional Canvas assignment here where you'll record your results so I can see the results. And then you're going to generate an Excel file and upload that for me to look at and grade as well. All right, so there's no PDF upload for this online week, but there will be in future weeks. Okay, so that's the basic idea of how we run the labs when they're online. When they're in person, it's more straightforward. You just read the introduction, do the pre-lab, then you come in and we'll work through the lab together. Okay, so that's Canvas. Okay, last thing I want to show you, and then I'll let you go because this intro video is already getting plenty long. If you'd like help with any online labs on weeks that we're doing online labs, I'll be in a Collaborate Ultra meeting room every Thursday afternoon, 2:30 to 3:30 p.m., so please come join me. I'll be very lonely if you don't. Go to our Physics 211-315 Canvas page, click on Collaborate Ultra down here on the left side. This takes a second, and there's always going to be this same General Physics Lab course room. So just click on that, and then click Join Course Room. Very easy. And then this is basically like a little Zoom session where I'll be in there live. You can tell me what questions you have, what's going on, what's not working for you, and we can talk through any lab problems you have there. As I said before, I'll try to answer questions by email too, but this can be kind of a fast way to get feedback from me if you need it. Okay, I think I will stop there. Thanks for kind of rolling with the punches this semester. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you the 3rd week of classes when we have lab, or the 4th week, I guess, depending if you're in my Group A or Group B. Please go read those introductory sections of the lab manual. Please go take the pre-lab quiz. Start working on Lab 1 this week. Lab 2 will get rolled out Tuesday next week, right after Labor Day. And let me know what questions you got.